Money is the leading cause of divorce, so it's important that you are on the same page as your spouse and that you work together as a team. There are so many different views on how best to manage your money within a marriage, but what I'm going to go through today is just personally what works best for us. I'm by no means a financial advisor, and you should always do your own research and speak to a financial advisor about your own unique situation when looking for financial advice. So this budget is based off a model where each spouse has complete ownership and control of the funds as well as the debts. The way my husband and I see it is that we're a team in everything, in every facet of life. And so to win with money, we need to act as a team. We need to have a coherent team strategy. I think best results come from when you come up with the plan together and you both take ownership of that money management plan. And the best way to get on the same page as each other is to dream. Come up with a vision of your life and how you want your life to be together, and make sure that you both love that vision as much as you love each other. Make sure you are obsessed with that vision. It is creating a burning desire within your heart. My top tip for creating a budget, whether you're by yourself or you're in a couple, is to fall in love with the process. Celebrate what you're doing. Get a bottle of wine on a Friday or Saturday night. Set out some cheese and crackers, pop on some tunes, or if you're more of a morning person, put aside your Saturday morning and sit in a bright, sun-filled room, grab yourself a cup of tea and some freshly baked croissants. Either way, set the mood, get excited, and write down your goals. Once you've got your vision, then you can get down to writing an action plan to execute your dream life. You can download my spreadsheet and get planning. Just remember that each couple is quite unique and different, has different lifestyles, different values, and so make sure you customize it to suit you. Okay, before we dive into it, I have a few guiding principles that my husband and I like to use and keep in the forefront of our minds whenever setting up a budget. So the first one is to be realistic and not idealistic. Think of your budget as intentional spending, a realistic action plan to get you to your dream life. A lot of us fall into the trap of a money diet, and that is definitely not what we want to do here. We want to make sure that your budget is something that you can realistically, consistently follow and still enjoy your life whilst following it. Second one is to keep things simple and stress-free. This is my guiding principle for everything relating to money. Automate it where you can, make the process really clear in your mind, and make it as easy as possible to follow. The easier it is, the more likely you will be to stick to it, because if you feel overwhelmed or guilty or shame relating to your spending, then you'll just kind of put it in the too hard basket and you'll become overwhelmed, and then you'll just avoid it altogether. And the fourth one is to know your why. And this really comes back to what I was talking about before, having a dream, having a vision, something that anchors you whenever it gets a little bit hard, something to constantly come back to and remind yourself hey, this is why we're doing this. This is why our dream life is worth this. Cool, so now that you have the principles, let's get into the more practical how-to. We're going to break it down into 6 easy steps. The first one is to look at your income sources. Pretty simple, you just figure out exactly where all of your money is coming from and note it down. And already that's step 1 done, so cheers. Let's get into step number 2. Number 2 is to look at all of your past expenses. Here we're going to analyze your data. We're actually going to get an idea of your spending habits, what your lifestyle is like. Go through all of your different bank accounts and download the last 3 months of expenses. You should be able to download this as an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can combine all of the data into one spreadsheet. Depending on your bank, they kind of automatically categorize it for you already, which is cool, but you might need to go through and just do some fine tuning. We have the following categories. Yours might be a little bit different. So there are expenses, you might have something slightly different depending on your situation, but you can kind of take that as a guide. There are a few expenses that are only paid quarterly or 6 monthly or annually, and so we also want to account for them and make sure we haven't forgotten them. And then you've got things like car registration. Actually, that always ends up being a big bill, and so we like to take that into consideration in our regular pay period. Take the lump sum, so say it's about $2,000. We divide that amount amount by 52, and then that shows us roughly weekly what our car costs us, and take that into account each pay period. Okay, cool. So once you've worked out all of your different categories, you can see roughly how much you spend on each category. It can be a little bit shocking. Groceries might be higher than you expected, or the amount that you eat out might be higher than expected, but don't worry too much. It's not really the space to feel any shame or guilt about it. It's just like looking at like, okay, this is our lifestyle. How can we fit this into our money goals? Now, you may have realized some of your expenses will be fixed and some of them are more discretionary or variable. Right now, and for step number 3, we're just going to be looking at your fixed expenses, your bare bone expenses, the ones that are completely necessary for you to just get through life. We've included entertainment as a set amount because our marriage and our partnership is the most important thing to us. And so our date nights, our entertainment as a couple is essential. No matter what happens to our income, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing our marriage and quality time together. Cool, so now that you've worked out the amount for those fixed expenses and you've entered them into your spreadsheet, so you've got your income, and then from that we're going to take out the bare bone necessary fixed expenses, and now we're going to work with whatever's left over. And the first thing that we're going to look at is our savings. And the reason why we're going to look at our savings before we even look at our discretionary expenses is because we have the view that our savings comes first, and our future lives, our dream life, our vision, that comes first. And so we want to prioritize that, and then whatever's left, then we can put that into our discretionary expenses. Okay, so your savings. Here is the part where you're going to decide what you want to save for. I really recommend against having like a blanket savings account, like, oh, we're just saving. Something that's really helped us is to be really intentional and to have really clear purposes within our savings account. We have 3 different savings accounts. The first one is our investing account. This is for, buying property or investing in the stock market. The second one is our Smile account. And our Smile account is for any holidays that we want to take, or any like big item that is not really necessary, but it really just makes you smile. And then you have your emergency fund, which I have 2 different videos on, and I will link them both below. One looks at like how much should you have in your emergency fund, and the other one looks at where should you be putting your emergency fund. Our emergency fund has been a really crucial part of our money journey together. It really sets up a feeling of security, and it's like an emotional buffer so that then we can go and take more risk with our investment. So you've decided what you want to save for. Now you have to decide how much you want to save. And so remember, we're looking at your income minus your fixed expenses, and then you're looking at what portion of that you want to save. I would always recommend starting with a lower percentage, something that's like really easy, really achievable, so that then you can stay consistent, see progress, and build momentum, and then you can increase the percentage. So if 10 to 20% is something you're more comfortable with, then definitely start with that. I started with 10% originally, and then I was able to incrementally bump that up to 70% of my income. It's not really something that you can just jump straight into. You can't like overcommit. If you go too hard at the beginning, you'll just end up burning out, and then you'll feel really deflated and probably associate your money plan with negativity, which will just really spiral out of control. So once you've decided on how much you want to put aside into your savings and where you want to allocate that, then it's time to look at your discretionary expenses. So for us, our discretionary expenses were things like clothes, cosmetics, and then we have our buffer expenses. This is like a miscellaneous category. Things like a new pillow or a bulb blue. Like, where are you going to pull that from in your budget? It's not really something that you need to account for regularly. So we put aside a certain percentage into our buffer account, which then covers those miscellaneous expenses. Then we've got our Christmas time spending, and so that's like extra socializing and gifts. Our fun, which is guilt-free spending, and then our charity. We have found that making these discretionary expenses a percentage really works well, because as your income increases, then so can your spending. But by the same token, when your income dips, you're not committed to like a set figure that is really hard to maintain. The percentage that you choose to allocate to each of these discretionary expenses is really up to you, and it depends on your own priorities. Just remember, you need to be realistic, not idealistic. You need to pick a percentage that really reflects your spending habits. It seems really easy at the time to say, well, we're really saving hard at the moment, so we're not going to buy any new clothes this year. But at the end of the day, your body fluctuates. Your clothes get ruined. And knowing that you have accounted for spending on things like clothes, it really makes you feel like you're in control of your life and your situation, and you're not having to go without all the time. This system is really quite easy to adjust, and it would only take a few moments to adjust those percentages. And so if you over budget or if you under budget, you'll realize that in the next month or so. So it's really easy just to come back and readjust. Now that all of the decisions have been made, all of your figures are on paper, we can work out how is this actually going to operate, how can we put this thing into autopilot. So the way we do it is we have all of our income come into the one account. In our spreadsheet, we've created a formula. As soon as you put in your income, Excel does all of the hard work and you know exactly where all of your money is going. All you need to do is transfer the money into each of the individual accounts. And yes, we recommend having individual accounts for each of the categories. You could definitely just have one overarching savings account or one overarching account for expenses, but it takes a lot of mental energy. You have to kind of keep track of where it's all going and what money goes towards what. Whereas when you have it in separate accounts, it's really easy to see just with one glance how much money you have for everything. So for example, I can very easily open up my app and see immediately I have $20 left for my groceries until we get paid next. Or we have $100 in our entertainment account so we can have a more extravagant date night next week. Plus, when you have separate accounts, it means all of the tracking is done for you automatically. I'd definitely rather spend a little bit of time right now opening these accounts, which like literally takes 2 seconds, and then 5 minutes every pay period transferring them across than having to track my expenses every month. We split the accounts for our categories across 3 different banks. Let me explain. For our everyday expenses, we use NAB. It has 0 account fees, it's super easy to use. Then we use 86 for 100 for all of our accounts that we don't touch as often. So that's our investing fund, our smile fund, our emergency fund. So why did we pick 86 for 100? It has one of the more competitive interest rates at the moment at 1.2, as long as you deposit $1,000 every month. There are no account fees and you can access your money at any time. But I really like 86 for 100 because of the feature that allows you to link all of your different bank accounts in the one app. And so you can have a quick glance and get an idea of where your finances are at and how they're all tracking, all from the one app. Plus, it literally only took 2 seconds to open. I got a free $20 when I signed up because I used someone's referral code. The last one is Upbank, and we literally only use this for one thing, our fun account. And the reason we chose to have our fun account with a completely different bank is for 2 main reasons. One is that we don't have access to each other's fun account. That's because it's supposed to be a fully personal, no guilt spending where we don't have any accountability to each other. We can spend it literally however we like. And also sometimes like when we're buying birthday presents or Christmas presents, that's where we get the money from. So if we want to keep it a surprise, it's better if the other person can't have access to that account. 2 is for a psychological reason. As this is like a guilt-free spending, it's really nice to have it on a completely separate card. Having a fully separate card really helps to associate like a positive feeling with our fun spending and to also be more intentional with it. I know it seems silly, but it really actually makes a difference, especially when you're pulling out like a really fun colored card for your fun spending. We used to use MeBank for this account, but we just recently switched to Upbank for like no other reason other than to get the free $5 when you sign up using like a referral code. There's really not much difference between the two. MeBank also has a fun colored card, but the Upbank app is definitely a lot more like user-friendly and intuitive. And it literally only took like 2 seconds to sign up, and then we got $5 like instantly. So that's why we went with Upbank. So if you're looking for other banks, you can also get $5 free with Upbank. They transfer it immediately, which is pretty cool. I think they have their own referral code. but if you use mine, I'll also get $5. So that'd be pretty cool. And that's it. You're done with your budgeting. You've made all of your accounts, you know where it's all going, and next time you get paid, all you have to do is enter the income and the spreadsheet will generate it all for you, and then you'll just have to transfer it across and you'll be on your way. It's pretty awesome. The amount of control and confidence that we've both felt with our money since setting this up has been amazing, and it's really working well for us. So I hope it works just as well for you. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful or valuable in any way, if you could give it a gentle tap of the like button, it absolutely means the world. It really helps out the channel and I really appreciate it. So thank you if you have liked it already, if you've subscribed. I'll see you around next week for next week's video.